So in this video, I'm going to talk about careers after you do your doctorate. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Maslach. I'm an associate professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There were so many people that helped me out that I wanted to pay the favor for to help you out as much as I possibly can. So I have a question from Stephanie Bosco-Ruggiero. Thank you, by the way, for submitting that question. She's actually helping by writing out a lot of the blog posts. Her and her friend are helping out. So I really appreciate you doing this and being part of the Reciprocity Project. So she was wondering whether if you leave academia, so if you do your PhD and you don't stay in academia and you go into consulting, or you go into you go do something that's sort of independent in the business world and come back, whether you can actually come back easily within academia, if that's actually possible. So first of all, you know what the rules are, Stephanie. You have to do something nice to somebody. And I know that you are just a wonderful human being, so I greatly appreciate it. And you're doing a lot of niceness with the stuff that you're doing with helping out with this project. But, just give a friend a phone call or something like that for me. But definitely appreciate it. So with this question, I think you have to think about what is your long-term goals and what you are trying to do. So everything is possible. And if somebody says that there is only one true thing or one true way in your life and whatever that looks like, they're just, they're just ill-informed. However, there are things that once you choose something, it's harder to go back into something else. So we often have to make these sort of decisions in what we want to do with the rest of our life. It's kind of like there's this saying that I really like, and it's crap or get off the pot sort of idea. It's like, are you actually going to do something with what you have, or are you going to do something else? And we all face this after we are at the stage probably close to where you are at this moment, where you're thinking about what should I do and where should I go. And what I would recommend for you to do is exactly what I did, is write out these different trajectories, actually write out the different choices, what you're going to choose to do on a spreadsheet, and think about, kind of do some sort of exercise to rank order those things. So thinking about different criteria that you think sort of resonate with what you are doing. So, consulting, staying in academia, going into industry in terms of a government job or something like that, and having a priority like that, or different trajectories in what you're choosing to do. And then, put criteria up on this axis over here on the, on the various columns where you have different criteria, where you're like, freedom to be independent, autonomy, different things like that, or, salary. And then you rank order them. You just do a simple rank ordering based on those different criteria. And then at the end, you should get some sort of sum. So you sum up all those things across those criteria and you get a ranking of that. Now that's a naive one because it's not prioritizing the things that are important to you. So you could, if you were smart, you would probably put some sort of weighting on the different criteria as well as you go through it. So you'd prioritize, maybe family life is more important, so then you'd prioritize something like that. So what I'm saying with this is it's going to help you think a little clearly with what you're doing. And to come back to your answer, and that's going to give you some sort of sense of what you should maybe do. And to get back to your answer is, people can come back to academia and, once they leave and do, consulting or something like that, there's a few people that do that. However, it's trickier to do that. It's much more difficult to, once you leave, it's harder to get back, because what you're doing, if you didn't know, if you haven't figured it out, is you're building up all that track record of doing, doing different publications and stuff. And the less publications you have, the harder it is to get an academic job. There's basically like a cutoff in the market, whatever that looks like, of whatever publications you need. And just getting those publications are really tough. Of getting them, and it varies in every field of what that requirement is. and who you are and what you do and all those kind of things. But it's tough to actually get those publications. It's really, really tricky. I've been doing this for a long time, and I get a lot of rejections. So people do leave. Actually, the person that is our department chair at the institution that I'm at actually right now left and went to the military for a number of different years after he did his doctorate, because it was 9/11 happened, and there was lots of stuff that was going on in that moment, and he felt the need to serve. So this happens where people, they do leave and then they come back, but it's just that much harder to come back. And then there's also, there's some stigma associated with that in academia. Obviously, that's why you're asking that, because, people might think of you as not being as serious as somebody else that has stayed with it and pushed through all of the sort of turmoils and struggles and all those kind of things. Or you're also foregoing notoriety, as when you get to a certain point, once you've accumulated all of these publications, then you're going to have some notoriety from doing that, or some sort of status in academia. But there's all sorts of ways to sort of think about that and what you're trying to do. You might actually go into industry, figure out a more interesting problem, and then come back and realize you want to study that more interesting problem. So it's a little bit more of a tricky thing to think about, and what is that interesting problem that you're curious about and interested in. It sometimes doesn't, if you're sort of don't have the experience, you sometimes don't see those things. So in business school, actually, we encourage people before they get into a doctorate to have a little bit of experience and stuff. Most programs that are top ranked, they do have you do some experience and have some experience. But why do people not come back once they leave academia? Well, I really think that it's not the fact that there's a fault or a flaw with academia. Is that they're choosing not to. They're choosing not to be part of that struggle, and they realize that they have opportunities elsewhere. We're like, why would you come back? Let's say you had the opportunity to make, I don't know, maybe it's $70,000 in the domain that you're in per year as a tenure track job, and you go and get an industry job in consulting, and eventually after a couple of years you're making $150,000 a year. Well, you really have to think about, should I come back? Is it worth my time and effort to do this? And some people believe it is, because they have this sort of calling or whatnot, but some people don't. And so it just really depends on your situation. Or maybe you move to a different country and then you just choose that it's just not for you in this country. There's all sorts of reasons for why people choose different things in their careers and what they do. What I'm getting at is, don't feel that you have to please somebody or feel obligated to do something. You do the thing that's right for you. And whatever that looks like for you, that's what you have to think about for your own family. It would be nice that you find somebody or a group of people in academia that you sort of resonate with, but at the same time, you have to think about your family and what it means for you and what you need to do for whatever it is that you are thinking of doing with the rest of your life. And if this is the best thing for you, then by all means choose to do it. There's no reason you should not feel trapped. You should not feel that you can't do something. You should not feel that you're doing something wrong in any sort of way by doing this. Really, you have to do what's right for you, and that is a real big personal choice. And if you're getting any sort of flack in any sort of way, in any sort of your area of your life, well, you live your life as long as you are being a decent person, you're nice, you're happy, you just live your life, and that's what matters. And so the other thing that you should realize is that your life changes, and who you are really does change over time. and what you prioritize changes over time. So the things that you decided 5 years ago might not be what you want right now, and it might not be what you want in 10 years from now, and you should embrace that and recognize that as okay. And so you can sometimes pivot to things that you actually would love to do, right? So if it's you love certain components of academia, well, then you can embrace those certain components. There's lots of people that do things as that they're part of doing something, one component of academia that they really love, but then there's other things that they don't do. And so figuring out what is the right fit and what you're interested in and what you're doing really does matter. And it really is, if you're kind to yourself, you should really think about that, of what you want to do and where you want to go with the rest of your life. It's kind of like asking a kindergartner, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? And I know nobody knows. Even in kindergarten, you don't know what you want to do. And even now, I'm 42 years old. I'm still, what am I? I'm 41. I'm 41 years old. I don't even know how old I am. So I still don't know what I want to do with the rest of my life, other than just be a nice and happy and decent person, and let the cards fall where they may be. And I hope you do the exact same thing. So Stephanie, I hope that answers your question in as much robust way that I can, that there is a lot of stuff that goes on, but you have to really think about who you are as a person and what you want to do, and prioritize your family unit, if it's just you, or if it's part of your, I know that you're part of a larger family unit, but really think about that, and really think about who you are as an individual, and really embrace that. And there's nothing wrong with being who you are and what you want to do, and you'll figure it out as you go. We all do. So with that, Stephanie, remember, you got to do something nice to other people. Call up a friend that you haven't talked to in a while, give them a shout, let us know what you did. We'd love to be, I'm Snoopy, I'm really, really Snoopy. So anyways, for the rest of you, give me one of these if you like this, and good luck with everything at the end of it. Bye.